Good morning, everyone. I'm Kimberly Parsons, co-author of Music Unfolds, and today I'm here on the internet at 8 o'clock on a fall morning from East Texas to talk to you about starting our curriculum late. And you'll notice that I've put the word late in quotation marks because I really don't like the word late. You know, no one likes to be late. I was famously late with my second child. I went to 42 weeks with him, and I got so annoyed with everybody saying I was late because I really believed he would come when he was ready. And, so I was one of those people that insisted on using the term post dates. So if you are coming to Music Unfolds late, I hope that you are not taking on any of the negative shamey aspect of that word. So this morning, you're going to hear my kids in the background. We just made sure everybody had clothes on so that they ran behind the camera and they would be appropriate. And they are fixing a little bit of breakfast, and I'm sitting here in my living room with some coffee. And so I'm excited to talk to you guys this morning about starting our new music program. The fall has been out for a while, and on the 1st, we got winter out for you who are working ahead and planning ahead. So hopefully you are already able to look at that curriculum and you're really digging into it. We're getting some really great feedback from people that I love hearing. I love hearing how you're using it and what songs your kids love. One user this week posted about their family's Halloween celebration and the Switch Witch, and how their Switch Witch brought their children a penny, and the kids were so excited because of that. The little song in the curriculum about the witch who picks up a penny. So that just made my week. I love hearing that. And we also get a lot of questions, and so today's video is answering in part some of those questions. So there are lots of ways that people are coming to this late. First, I want to talk to the people who are coming to it late because you just got started late. You're just now opening it up. I think some of those people are just like our family. We kind of start introducing things. Our school year starts generally in September, so we kind of add one thing at a time rather than trying to gear up with painting, modeling, form drawing, all that stuff all at once. Spanish, music. We kind of introduce it over a few weeks' time. So some people are feeling a little behind because that's how they start their school year. And to those folks, I'd say, just don't worry about it. Take out the curriculum, pick out the songs. You've got a whole month left for fall, and you can spend some time learning some of those songs for singing. And you can pick out your one or two songs that you want to try on the instrument, and you're good to go. This curriculum is not meant for you to have to learn every single song in the book. It is set up in such a way that as long as you have a good bank of songs, a good group of songs that I'm going to talk about how to make sure you have that if you're going along, as long as you have a few from each season, you're golden. So don't feel like this is the book that you have to slog through and learn every song in the book. My family doesn't do that, and I'm the one who wrote it. So you have my permission to not learn every song. So if you're just starting now here in November, pick 3 or 4. I would suggest you do, if you do Small Leaf, Cold Wind Blow, All the Leaves, and call it a day. And those are for singing. Pick just one to do on the flute, maybe Cold Wind Blow, and you're golden. So that's the first kind of person that's coming late, is just a person who's just starting later in the year. The second kind of person that's coming late to the curriculum is the person who is still terrified. And for those folks, I want to ask you to please just open it up and read the first part. Just read it. Just read it. Please don't be afraid of a book. You are smarter than a book, right? And unless Albert Einstein wrote it or something like that, most of us are smarter than a book. And this curriculum was really written for you. I really think that if you will just take that big deep breath and pull it up on your computer or get out that copy that you printed out at the copy shop, whatever it is, if you will just look at that first part, I really truly believe that fear will just start to melt away. So that's the other kind of person that's starting late, is the person who is just terrified. So please, just get it out. Just start, Mama. Just look at it. You've done all sorts of other things. You're a parent, and I'm gonna have some coffee now because that's how I do things. Please admire my mug. Yeah, that's a cool mug, huh? All right, so the next kind of person that's coming late is it's kind of a twofold thing. There are people that are coming later to this because their child is older. We're getting lots and lots of questions about that, and that is the primary focus of today. But it kind of fits in neatly with the people who are coming later because they live in a different part of the world. Not all the seasons are the same everywhere in the world. And Melissa and I, we live in the United States. We live in the Northern Hemisphere, and it's not a desire to exclude people or leave them out. It's just that's what we know. If you're any kind of writer with anything, they always say write what you know, and so that's where we're coming from. That's why a lot of the songs are American folk songs. A lot of the stories are, have references to American holidays because that's who we are. So we want to reach out and be helpful. But we know that your seasons are different. So what do you do with that, and what do you do with an older child? So let me talk about that, and that's the main focus of today. I'm getting out my notes too. First of all, I want to talk about what we mean by an older child. Okay, so let's talk about that. I do not mean a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old. If you're starting with a 9 or 10-year-old, I would really strongly recommend that you just start from the beginning and go from there. You may be able to go a little faster. But when we're talking about a 9 or 10-year-old, that's not really an older child. And I'm not just saying this as a Waldorf mom, and my oldest is not yet 9, but I'm saying this based on my years of teaching in the classroom. I was a classroom teacher in public school for a number of years, and I taught 6th through 12th grade at various times. And when I first came to music teaching, and this whole method of teaching through folk songs was suggested to me, highly recommended that I use, and was modeled for me, and they gave me some of these song materials. I didn't because I was a grown-up and I was professional, but internally I just kind of rolled my eyes like, oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me. I'm not going to use these little kid songs with these 11, 12, 13-year-olds. So that was hard for me to do, but because I tend to trust the people that have more experience than I do and actually try things that they suggest, I did try it, and I found out that what they said was true, and that your kids may be those same kids that I had. I taught in an inner city school. These were very streetwise kids who'd seen a lot of life, probably more life than some of us have seen, and they thrived on this music because it's fun, and it meets that inner child, and even though to us as a grown-up it seems like this really basic music, they loved it. They had a lot of fun playing the games. It was a moment for them to really connect with their inner child and still have that childlike enjoyment of music. So if your hang-up is thinking that your 9, 10, maybe even your 11-year-old is not going to want to sing which, I want to suggest that you try it. And that you present it with like, okay, I want to teach you this little song today, and we're going to play a game, and just see what happens. They may very well surprise you. Now, as you may imagine, in those school settings, I did have some tough customers who were not buying what I was selling. And I addressed that earlier in a video on the Music Unfolds group. If you're not a member of that group, then you can't see it. So you can always ask for a join, and I'll add you in. But that's why I'm going to be doing my videos now from Melissa's page so that others can see them easily. But with those tough customers, you just present it. This is what we're doing today. Let's do it. Some other things that you can do with that slightly older child, if you have decided, hey, I'm gonna take your advice and spend a year doing this, working from the beginning. You can always talk to them about how some of these games are things that they can use with a younger sibling, or if they are getting to be old enough to be a mother's helper, that these are things that they can do with those younger children. That has been appealing to my public school students, and it may be appealing to your student as well. And also, when you start flipping into using the flute, or as you start working on reading music notation, and they discover that having worked on these little kid songs means that their success on the instrument or their success in reading music feels effortless and feels fast, you will have created a convert who's like, yeah, teach me more songs about squirrels, mama. I am ready to go because we learned that little song about the witch and now I can play it on my flute and I'm rocking and rolling. So that success that they will experience if you will work the program, I think will sell it for you as well. Another thing that you can talk to if you've got a tough customer is that the sooner they learn these songs that you're asking them to learn for singing or for playing that are simple and perhaps not as appealing, the sooner they can move on to something that is. Now, you may not know this if you're just joining us now, but I came to Waldorf late. My son was midway through or almost finished with first grade by the time we discovered it. And so I had some time doing some more traditional homeschooling at home. And if you haven't been outside of Waldorf land, then you may not be aware of these books called, well, I won't say because this is on a public forum, but they're these really popular little books that feature very simple words and plain black and white line drawings. They are appealing to some families and they work really well, but my child hated them. But that was, what everybody I knew was using. So, well, that's what we're going to use too. So I remember telling him when he was complaining about the insipid plots, that they were just the stupidest books ever. I remember telling him, hey, once you learn to read these, we can move on to something else. So if your tough customer, your older child that you're starting with is a little reluctant to sing Small Leaf or whatever, fine. Tell him, hey, as soon as we learn Small Leaf and we're playing it on the recorder, we're going to go on to something else. And I think that you will find it's a good will builder and it's a good way to establish some authority in your home. So if you've got a child of 9, 10, perhaps even 11, I really want to encourage you to just work the program from the beginning. You may go faster, and you may have opportunity even to do more songs on the flute or the instrument. For the 7-year-old, if they're doing one song a month on the instrument, they're rocking and rolling. But if you've got a 9, 10, 11-year-old, they may do 2 songs a month. You just gauge what they need to do. So really consider that. Now, I want to talk about the child who is 11 or older. I've noticed in my practice as a teacher that we talk a lot about that 9-year change in Waldorf land, but there's another change that really happens at 11 when they're really, really ready for some more challenging things at a different pace. And those generally are the kids that we're getting questions about it when people are like, what do I do with this older kid? They're usually around that 11 or 12, and the mama is looking at the program and realizing, Super Sam stories, maybe, I don't know, maybe squirrels, I don't know what to do with this. So that's what I want to talk about, and this will also work for those families that are in a different season. So, first of all, you have to remember that this book is not just a book of songs to sing and play. This book represents hours and hours of piecing it together. It's the best analogy I can come up with is that it is like a Chinese puzzle box. If you saw my work process, you would just be like, whoa, that lady is crazy. And I probably am, but I mean, just choosing the right songs for the right elements, and then putting them in the right place was really, it was fun for me, but it was a real challenge. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how you can do that. Don't panic, keep breathing, take some deep breaths, okay? And it's mostly all done for you. So let's say that you are starting with an older child and you want to get right to grade 3 because that older child definitely by 10, 11, certainly by 11, that kid is ready to be reading music. They're ready mentally, but you've got to go back and do some work to help them with their ears. Because let's, to be very, very clear, what we're doing in this book is I'm trying to help you develop your child's musicianship, which is different than just being able to look at something and play it on an instrument. That is not the same. In my experiences as a music student, as a music teacher, and just as a taker in of music, perhaps you've also had this experience. You can hear somebody who can play the notes on the page well. They play them correctly, but there's not any connection of spirit that you can perceive. And so there's a difference between being able to play the notes or even sing the notes and musicianship. A musician is somebody who is able to make an emotional connection with what they are doing and communicate that with other people. It is a skill, because the more skillfully that you can sing or the more skillfully you can play, the better able you are to communicate that to your listener. But there is a magical something that is going on, and they have to be able to have that. And it's much more than, okay, I've got to get through grade 3 so my child knows what a quarter note is. That's not our goal. So I want to talk to you about how you still give them that opportunity to develop their musicianship while you are moving on to that grade 3 work of reading notation. So the first thing you need to do is you're going to scan the grade 3 lessons. Just take a month. And I did this for September, and at some point I will post this somewhere so that you can kind of see what I did. But you're going to scan those grade 3 lessons, and each lesson it will say review these songs, and then it will give you a list from grade 1, from grade 2. What you want to do if you're working with that older beginner or you're starting in a season other than fall is look through that handful of songs. So in lessons 1 through 12 for grade 3, there is a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 songs that are used in those first 12 lessons. Plus, there's a list after lesson 12 of songs from the rest of the curriculum that speak to that element that you're learning in those first 12 lessons. Okay, so the element is already picked out for you, and I've already identified all the songs that have that element in it. So now your job is to look at that list and think to yourself, if you've got an older child, what songs among these are going to be most appealing to my kiddo? You can look at the lyric, you can listen to it, and you can choose, hey, these are appealing. If you are in a different season, look at those and determine which of those are not just the opposite season that you're in. For example, in that fall section, there are at least 3 that are not tied to a season. Squirrels is not tied to a season. Mabel Mabel is not tied to a season. And neither is Moon Boon. So those are 3 songs right there that meet those elements that you're trying to teach in the first month that are not tied to fall or autumn. So you can look through the list and do that for each month. So if you're starting your school year and it's really spring for you, you can look at that list after lesson 12 and go through and say, oh, here are some spring songs that have that element in it. So then what you do, Mama, is you take that little list of songs. If you're trying to accelerate, okay, you're trying to give them the chance to develop their musicianship and move on in the program. What you're going to want to do is take your little list of songs. Say you chose Squirrels, Mabel Mabel, and Moon Moon. And then there are always a couple of new songs, except for in December, for 3rd grade. So the new songs, those don't necessarily follow the seasons. They're following the Waldorf Essentials grade 3 curriculum. And if that fits your curriculum, great. So with the 2 new songs for September and those 3 songs that I just said, you've got 5 songs for November. That is great song material. So you spend your first week or so just singing them, just like you would have done if you had done grade 1 and grade 2 from the beginning. Teach those songs for singing. Please, 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 I will say this in every video, make sure your child is singing them from memory with confidence before you ever put it on the instrument and before you ever try to use it to teach reading music notation. You will thank me for taking the time to do that. Not only are you creating a musician when you allow them that process, but it's going to make the process of transferring it to the instrument or taking musical elements from it so that they can read the music, it's going to make it that much easier for you. And so take the time to do that. So if you've picked out your songs and you've spent a week, maybe 2, even singing them, then you can move on to those grade 3 lessons. And instead of 3 lessons a week on the notation, you may choose to just do it 2 days a week. You're going to do your lesson about it, and then the next day you're going to do your main lesson book page. about whatever that element was until you reach a threshold where you feel like your child is like, okay, that's fast enough, mama, and then you can slow down and throw in some more of those elements. So you just do that for every month. Go through, read the lessons, make your list. These are the songs she said to review. So I'm going to look at these, which are most appealing, or which ones are not specifically tied to this season or a festival that we are not doing, and look at those. I'm going to teach those for a couple weeks just for singing, and then we'll come back and put them on the instrument and work with the notation. So if you've got a child that's 12 or 13, I still really want to encourage you to do this process where you teach the songs for singing before moving on to notation, because what we're trying to do is go from whole to parts. That's what we're doing in Waldorf education, period, whatever the subject may be. And we want them to have that whole sense of, this is the song, this is what all of these elements together feel like, before we start pulling out little things and say, here's the quarter note, and here's a syncopated rhythm, and here's a key note. Before we dissect it all, we want them to experience the whole thing as a part. So that is what I hope that you will do, whether you're starting with a much older child or you're starting in a different season. At some point we're putting this out seasonally, and then it will be already in one piece, and we're talking already about how we can put together something that really helps people who are starting later with an older child, or those who are in a different season. But for now, that's something that you can do, and I'd love to hear what you choose. If you've got an older child and you do this process of looking through and picking out some songs and then accelerating it, I'd love to hear what worked for you. I'd love to hear what didn't work. But do get in touch with us. If you're in a different season than us, let me know what songs worked for you. If you did something creative that you want to share with us, please message us. We always try and get back to people quickly. So I've got a few more minutes here, and if you have some questions, I can see your questions. I'm seeing that Melissa's talking about gathering all the videos that I do and putting them on a playlist. So that's kind of cool. Makes me feel good. Hopefully people will watch them. But anyway, if you have a question, I'm here and I will answer that while I'm waiting to see. You can always join the Music Unfolds group. I also have a page, but we also make all of the announcements about the curriculum from the Waldorf Essentials page. I always make sure that they land there, and all of my future videos will come from there as well, so that if you're already following her page, you won't miss that. She says that she will get to that this week, and she's happy to share. I've really enjoyed working on this project with her. It's a lot of fun. If you're wondering how we do it, basically, I put all the music stuff together. I put it all in order and puzzle all of that out. And then I send it to her, and she puts in the stories and the recipes and the activities and everything. And then she sends it back to me. And then it's kind of fun, because sometimes something in her story will spark something in me, and I'll go, oh, I know a better song, or I want to write a different song for this one. I'm really excited about the Child of Light song in the new winter program. I hope you'll check that out. But that's one of those where her story was just so beautiful, and I felt like the song that I had chosen just wasn't. It was a nice little song, but it wasn't. It just wasn't what it could be. So that was fun. So that's how we do it. Love working together and doing that. So I could see that some people are still with me, but I'm not seeing any questions. So last call, and that's okay. I don't feel unloved. Maybe I just answered everything that you wanted to know this morning. If you've got other questions, you can always message Music Unfolds. You can message Waldorf Essentials. You can message me personally. And some of these questions that we get a lot, we turn into videos. So let us know what you're working on and what's going well and what you need help with. I'm excited about this curriculum, and I want to hear from you. So thanks for watching this morning, and I hope you have a fantastic day. It's fall here in Texas, which means it's like a high of 86. So we're going to go out and enjoy that. Oh, Let's see. Does Music Unfolds only cover flute or other instruments? This book will work for pentatonic flute and diatonic recorder. We wrote in there a little bit about why we're not including the penny whistle in one of the appendices, but it's just for, it would work with the penny whistle, but this book is specifically for the pentatonic flute and the diatonic recorder. And I see someone's, oh, thank you. I'm glad I answered all your questions, and it's okay if you come up with more because I'm going to see you in a little bit to that particular poster. So any other questions? I don't want to cut anybody off. I think there's a little bit of a delay between what I'm saying and you're being able to respond. So I don't want to cut anybody off. But if that's it, then I'm going to go about my day. So I hope you all have a wonderful day. Sing, sing, sing. Have a great Friday. And do something for yourself today that nourishes your soul. So have a good day. Thanks. Oh, there's one more. Oh, okay. Yeah, in the Waldorf, children play a blowing instrument in the early grades. Yes, if the question about other instruments was about like piano or strings, that is really addressed in one of the appendices, but generally kids don't start those things until grade 4. So this book really, it's a good foundation. If you could still use it to teach these musical elements in a way that is a Waldorf way of doing, or a Kodály way of doing things, before your child even begins piano or a string instrument, to learn to read music in a way that is holistic, instead of here is a quarter note, it lasts one beat. We don't want to do that. If we can possibly avoid it. So if your child is for whatever reason, you're not going to do a blown instrument, this book will work for you. But Steiner advocated using a blown instrument because the actual physicality of the breath creating the sound is a connection for the child, to have that experience of their actual physical presence making that musical sound. It's also a good will builder. So we talk about that in the curriculum too. But yes, this curriculum is for a blown instrument, and in this case it's for the pentatonic flute or the diatonic recorder. So, all right, I think we've hit it, and I'm off to enjoy my day, and hope you do too, and we will see you soon. Thanks, everyone.